So why do I even need a resume? A lot of times I know things are changing in the marketplace and people are doing, creative things or what have you. But what the reality is that companies still require them. Yes, the great TikTok resumes, all that kind of stuff, those are still great. But when it comes down to it, they still say, okay, now send me a resume. So it's also part of your personal branding and marketing, because what you are is a brand. A lot of times we don't see ourselves as a brand. However, when you're campaigning for an actual job, you are a brand. So you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward to show who you are. And guess what? Not only does that resume showcase your skill set, your abilities, your talents, your accomplishments, it also gives you confidence, because my clients tell me a lot of times, once they see themselves on paper, they're like, wow, I can't believe this is me. Because it's like, we do our jobs and, everybody say, well, I just do this, I just do that. And they really don't stop and think about the value that they actually bring to the organization that they're working for. But when they see it on paper, they're like, oh my gosh, this is truly who I am. And then it helps you to speak better in that interview to sell yourself. And so that's why it's your personal marketing branding document. And it is your key to get an interview, because they want the resume, and it's going to pique their interest. And if your resume is not landing the interview, I always tell my clients, it's not you, it's your resume. A lot of people get discouraged. I can't land a job. I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, it's not that you can. You're not approaching it properly. So you're not having the right strategy. Your resume is not speaking to the job that you're looking for. And so we'll talk about that. So it's not you, because every client has, or every person has, everything they need to land an interview in their niche, in their industry, if done the right way. It's just about how do you approach it. And so a lot of times we do the spaghetti approach. We get a one resume, and every job that we think we can do, we apply for it, and we take that same one resume, and then we just start shooting it out. And now I've heard people, I've applied for 100 jobs, not getting one bite. I said, well, those jobs, over half of them don't even match the resume. Because you think you could do it, it has to be articulated in that actual document. And so there's no right or wrong way to do a resume. What it is basically is there's a better way to do it. And that's what I'm going to talk about. What is the better way to actually do the resume for yourself? And so what we'll talk about today. So resumes always should be written like a marketing and sales document. You got to sell yourself. Every day, I don't know if you all have heard this, even if you're working on a job, every day is an interview, because it is, because you have leaders who are eyeballing you for that next opportunity. So every day is an interview. So how you show up will lead to whether or not you're going to get that next great opportunity. So it should be, even with your resume, it should be written like a sales and marketing document, because what you're doing is selling yourself and marketing yourself. It's just like we look at the TV and they're always advertising things. Now, you know what? We all know what McDonald's has, right? But we still go to the menu and say, let me have we know what they sell, but they still market to us because they still want to keep us coming. So you have to think about yourself as a brand and do the same thing. And you want to brand yourself as a career professional and not as a worker bee. And we'll talk more about that as well. And then it should be related and relevant to the job and industry you want. That goes back to me saying people take one resume that they've written or have gotten written before, and then they apply to every job they think they can do, but it's not matching the actual job. And it should always be pleasing and to the eye, meaning format, layout, or what have you, because you want to, number one, stop them in their tracks based on the format and make it pleasing to the eye. Not to say that you have to have all this crazy stuff going on, but something to stop them to say, yes, I see a lot of plain, simple, black and white. Now, if your recruiter is looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resumes of all black and white, just imagine if they see a resume that has a pop of color, a pop of blue or red or gray or something or elements standing out. It'll stop them. But what's going to keep them is the content. So we'll talk about that. Then it should be concise and to the point. I've seen resumes that are written down in paragraph form and full sentence form and all this kind of stuff. But resumes really should be statements, and it should be more written like telegraphic and not these full sentences. I did this, and because of this, I did that. And no, you can't do that. It's not. It's going to take too much effort on the recruiter to read it. And our job is to make it easy. You want to make it simple and make it easy for the recruiter to read yours and put you in the, I want to call them for an interview pile. Again, that is the ultimate goal. And it should be written in the first person, implied first person, without using I, me, or my. I've seen resumes where sometimes they use it, I do this, and like in the summary, they'll start off with I this, and then go to the bottom, and then they'll say third person, then they'll switch back over to the first person, and it's all mixed up. So it's not reading properly. And then, of course, it goes without saying, error-free. Now, as a resume writer, when I submit my rough drafts to my clients, I still make sure that they read it, because after spending hours on their resume looking at it, even I miss something. So I'm like to say, okay, here's a rough draft. You take your eyes, look over it and make sure it's okay. And then we get on a quality assurance review call. That's when we get on a call together and we go through that resume, LinkedIn profile, make sure everything is right. And then even after that, they still have 3 days to review it. So I want to make sure that thing is error-free. I don't care. I want to make sure there's no errors on that, so you don't get thrown out, because we don't want things like this happening. No. Yes, this happens. We don't want that. Okay. So I want to make sure. You're going to learn today how to write a job title for the role that you actually want, a headline that captures the reader's attention. A lot of people don't think about headlines, but that's the secret juice that I use for all of my clients, and an impactful professional summary, killer content beyond your job description. I've seen many resumes where people take their job description and they plop it in the format of a resume, but no. And then we're going to talk about a targeted resume using the actual job posting, and that's going to be the key to you landing that interview. So we'll cover all of those. And then we'll also talk about how many pages a resume should be, because that's always a fight in the resume writing industry. Resume formatting, and also how to incorporate those certificates, continuing education, volunteer efforts, etc., into your actual resume, because there's some value in those as well, especially when you're looking to do some fillers. So we'll talk about that a little bit.